Okay. I know we're live just a minute or so later than I would usually expect, but that's because the person we've got on today's show is just a great person to chat to, and I end up talking to him a lot in the background because he's just awesome. We're going to be talking to Bryant Dillon very shortly indeed. Hello, everybody. If you've got the notification, we've got Andrew. Hello from London. Are you from London or are you visiting London, Andrew? Do you know what? I don't know where you hang your hat, so to speak. Because if you're in London for anything in particular, tell us all about it. Let us know. Because every time you say that, it makes me say, "Oh, is there an MCM on this week? Am I missing it?" I don't know. But no, let us know if you are watching this, where you're watching from. And of course, if you are watching, you're from London. That explains lots. That's why you can afford pints when you come up to Yorkshire. We had, what was it? I had somebody attending a party I was DJing, and they were from London and they came to Yorkshire, and it was like the blinkers had come off the scales had come off the arts, and they went, so this is what a decent priced bar tab sounds like. Damn right. Never been to Yorkshire? You've been to Leeds, haven't you? You've been to the Thought Bubble? I thought you had. Could have sworn you had. Anywho. Yes, but thank you very much indeed. If you're watching now, if you've got a notification, that's because you are a subscriber, and that's because we love you. So please, of course, if you're watching this after the fact, it's not that we don't love you, but please do hit the subscribe and hit the notification thing, because that allows you to see these as they go out live. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana, and this is the show where we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such shows. Welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you here. How's your week gone? Has it gone anything like mine? Are you in bits? Are you broken? Are you bruised? Are you slightly shattered? If so, you are in good company, and you're welcome along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Basically, today we've got ourselves two things that we're going to be kind of breaking down. Number one, I'm going to be talking about where I've just hightailed it from, which is Bowness-on Windermere, which is in the Lake District, which has been the home for the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. It was a lot of fun. I will talk about that and about what I got up to over the last couple of days on the show later on. But first things first, and we're going to let him dive straight in because, quite frankly, I enjoy doing these live interviews, but I am fully aware that it's a Sunday and it's the weekend. And not only that, but this chap has got two lovely bairns. And quite frankly, he needs the weekend to himself to enjoy himself and kind of like have time. We are joined by the one and only Bryant Dillon from oh, good God, no, it's not. Fanbase Press. That's where you're from.
No worries.
We'll get there. It does get there eventually.
It is a Sunday. It is a Sunday.
I can actually hear the neurons popping behind the back of the eyes. That's how my brain is currently wired at the moment. But no, we have Bryant here. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. For those who don't know you, we'll ask a couple of questions just to kind of get people acclimatized, and so they know who you are. First things first, give us a little bit of a rundown. Who is Bryant Dillon when it comes to Fanbase Press?
Well, I'm co-founder and president of Fanbase Press, and Fanbase Press is a independent comic book publisher and geek media site. We've been publishing for roughly 15 years, and in addition to publishing our own works, which we've been very lucky, have been recognized, nominated for awards, critically acclaimed. We also do a lot of geek media content, things like comic book reviews, film reviews, podcasts, giveaways, interviews with creators, all sorts of free content on our website.
Yeah, it's when someone turns around and says, Into the Blue Mister, that's a serious collection of books in the background. Well, listen, when it comes to it's a large umbrella he's just described there when it comes to Fanbase Press. When it comes to when he talks about geek media, he doesn't. Both you and Barbara don't mess around. When it comes to publishing, you don't mess around. When it comes to collecting books, you don't mess around. That's the one thing I've always admired. I've admired about you. I've admired about Barbara. You're always all in. You are a hardcore supporter of not only the people you publish, but also just those that you shine a spotlight on. When I've seen you behind your table at conventions. Mm-hmm. You're always engaged. You're always talking to people. Barbara on panels is like a machine. She's just it's full on. It's so impressive. So impressive to see what Fanbase Press does. And that leads into what we're here to talk about today. Yeah, which is Jordan Hart's Ripple Effects, which is the deluxe edition. So this is a Eisner and Harvey Awards nominated story, returning with an all-star lineup to raise awareness for invisible likenesses and disabilities. Considering the people that you've got involved, who are, we're not talking lightweights here.
No, not at all.
The forwards. One I've interviewed, which is Gail Simone. One I've had on the show, which is Todd Stashwick, who are just, I think the things that binds the pair of them are, they're not just creators, they are absolute lovers of the medias that they create for. But tell us about Ripple Effects from Jordan Hart.
Well, this is a really unique and important story. It's a superhero story, but it explores, as you said, life with an invisible illness. So we have a character, George Gibson, who is invulnerable to any external harm. He's essentially like a Superman, but his kryptonite is his own body. So his body is both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness, and this is inspired by Jordan Hart's own experiences. He lives with a invisible illness, a blood clotting disease called thrombophilia, and he's always been someone who's loved comics. He's if you've read any of his work before, you just get very clearly he's been someone like us who's just loved the tales of Marvel and DC, but has never seen himself represented in this way within that genre. And when he started telling us the story, it was so much more than just, hey, here's this, this version of a superhero. It was a story about what it is to have a condition like this and learn to live with it as part of your life on a daily basis, but also like, how does that affect if you have artistic ambitions? How does that affect your family? How does medical debt weigh on you in within our nation or other nations? There were just so many different tendrils that were discussing things that are relevant or important today that we felt like this was the exact sort of story that Fanbase Press would want to be putting out there and sharing with the world.
Certainly the talent roster that's involved in this book. It's saying it's created, written, and colored by Jordan, which obviously sums up just how personal the story is for him. But when you've also got the likes of Bruno Chiarello who's just I've been a fan of for a while.
Okay.
Just yeah, I mean, Sarah Maru is just an amazing book, amazing book. Yeah, just the talent roster involved. Was it something that you were involved in putting together with the talent, or was it something that I mean, how involved were you with bringing the jigsaw pieces together?
You know, we were very involved, but it was definitely a group effort. Jordan, we actually knew from his previous work, and he would come on our podcast with a friend of his, Justin Harder, who is the creative force behind Klaus Studios. Viewers might recognize Justin's work because he does a lot of design and other kind of artistic direction in Hollywood. He is responsible for the end credits of Deadpool with the stick figures. And then he's done a number of logos, including he designed the Blade logo for the MCU. But they would come on and were just fantastic guests. Love to talk pop culture like us. When Jordan shared this story, he started, suggesting, and we started suggesting talent that would be great to feature on, in the book. Justin ended up providing covers that were just phenomenal. He did a new cover I call our Pink Lemonade cover for the hardcover, which is the yellow and pink one that you're seeing.
Sure.
Jordan happened to run into Gail Simone at a con in Las Vegas, and she was completely taken with the book and his story. And so we are very, very honored for her to come on and do a foreword. We've been lucky enough to have John Jennings doing an afterword for us. You might know him. He's doing Silver Surfer right now. A number of other important works that he's credited with as well. It's just a wealth of talent, honestly. Even people that might not be household names for comic book readers, but we have individuals from the library community that are involved that are huge names within libraries and entertainment. We have an Eisner nominated individual in Tim Smythe who has created a lesson plan for us that can be accessed by educators with this book. And what's unique about this book too is that it functions as both a book that's directed towards libraries and schools. And in fact, that it's hardcover. It has all these bonus materials, but it's also a deluxe edition that a comic book fan like you or I is really going to want. It has comic book talent speaking to how this story is important to them or important to aspects of their life. One thing that we haven't got to talk about a lot that I really love to include in this is that we have essentially our version of an MCU post-credit sequence. So there's new pages that have been drawn by Bruno and written by Jordan that give us a peek at where things might go next in the Ripple Effects universe. So there's a little taste of new content. It's just, I think, exactly what we like to do. We've only done one other hardcover at Fanbase Press. That was our bilingual edition of Kinsey. But we did the same thing. We packed it to the brim. We wanted it to feel like if we're doing a deluxe edition, this is going to be the ultimate edition of this work. It's not just going to showcase it in a larger size and be a hardcover, but also have the kind of bonus content that I feel like fans like you and I and those watching really crave in that kind of edition where we're talking about a graphic novel or a Blu-ray,
Yeah. I mean, also, somebody else that I'm a big fan of that you've got involved with, study guides by Tim Smith from Teaching with Comics and Graphic Novels. Someone who I've been following on social media for a while, really knows his stuff. I mean, I'm trying to put this so it doesn't. I mean, as an able person, I don't want to come off as being flippant, but
Sure.
there is always the concern that certainly when you have, as this project is, it's a worthy project. It is definitely putting a showcase on something and a spotlight on disabilities and those awareness of disabilities,
Sure.
which are important, but then to give this bonus material and elevate it beyond what would you would consider as a standard release. Was there the consideration to do this as a slightly more slimmed down book and do the bonus content as bonus content online as part of the Patreon or part of this Kickstarter? What was the thinking to really bundle it all together into one package?
I mean, part of it was that we felt like Ripple Effects had a fantastic year last year. There were a number of nominations. There was the Dwayne McDuffie Award, and so the reach of the book was incredibly deep compared to some of our previous titles. And I mentioned that because what Barbara and I know Jordan as well, what we encountered a lot while talking to people about this book or going to conventions and selling it is how often people that you wouldn't even expect were caught by the concept, and they would stop. They would seem like they had a little bit of interest, but once you started talking about a character that had an invisible illness in a superhero genre, they would comment, "Oh, I have a condition like that," or I have a family member who has a condition like that. And the interest, because they felt represented, because they felt connected to it in a deeper sense, felt like it deserved a deluxe edition. So we do have a digital version available of this. It's going to be available, at least within the United States. It'll be available in some of the digital distributors that access libraries. So we're trying to open representation and access as much as possible. And even with the Kickstarter, we just passed our first stretch goal, which was $10,000. We're pushing these stretch goals. Thank you. We're pushing these stretch goals forward by encouraging people through donating copies for free to schools and libraries. So I think there is definitely an effort to make sure that this is accessible as possible. But the idea of bringing it together, I think, was really both a need to celebrate Ripple Effects and extend the representation, but also for Fanbase Press to take its first step in a Kickstarter. We had been interested in engaging with this comic community that exists on there, and this seemed like a great first project. Something we have confidence in, something we can really build up with the individuals that we've made connections through the years
within the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's just it's really going to be I don't know, it's just a great representation of what we like to do at Fanbase Press. It's going to be a great looking book. It's going to feel great in your hands, but it's also going to have the kind of substance that's going to bring you back to this book over and over. You're going to want to revisit again, whether it's for the story or the bonus essays or content, or even the art gallery I didn't mention, which is just a fantastic art gallery where we pair professional artists with children who have invisible illnesses and disabilities. And they would essentially, the kiddos would draw themselves as the superhero, and then the professional artist did a rendering of it in their style. And we auctioned all that original art off for charity, but the artwork is also included in a gallery within the hardcover. So there's just so many fantastic reasons to pick up the book, and I think it really does live up to that deluxe edition title.
Sure. I mean, it's certainly it's like you say, the company Fanbase Press has always had an ethos, something to stand behind.
Sure.
And that has always been down to not only quality of the output that you've generated, not only for the website and the podcasts and the books that you publish, but also just a backbone, a real kind of something that you can look in a mirror and sort of like you can stand behind. and that's always been part of Fanbase Press's reason d'etre, as it were, and that's why.
Thank you.
I think that's why this book certainly deserves to have the Fanbase Press logo on it. The donation to libraries, and also just donating and getting secondary copies for friends, and just passing the torch and spreading the word. It's a very worthwhile concept. It's very difficult to implement because obviously you've got to really have those relationships with libraries and kind of get them really involved. How difficult is it at the moment, certainly in North America, to do that? Because here in the UK, I've been finding some real resistance with getting graphic novels accepted in libraries. What's it like in the States at the moment?
It is the same. I mean, obviously, I think it's no mystery that there's controversy in the States right now about what is allowed in libraries and what is allowed in schools. There's some culture wars going on what is appropriate and not. And so that has just made it difficult across the board. But even before that, especially for an indie publisher or an indie creator, there's a lot of barriers between librarians and publishers just in general. You have to be, part of certain distributors, as part of certain groups, or you have to be able to allow the books to be purchased certain ways in order for librarians and educators to get access. And that tends to be different depending on the location, depending on the state, depending on the district, depending on the school. So we are definitely making inroads in certain ways by making certain connections. The biggest success that we have seen is with digital distributors like Hoopla, where we can provide our digital comics to them, and they provide access to libraries, and then the libraries are able to give individuals a certain amount of credits or whatever they call them to use each month in these digital libraries. And so that seems to be the biggest success so far in reaching through libraries and educators. But it's something that we just think is a good push forward. And I mean, so, while the Kickstarter really specifically is looking at donating to libraries and school libraries, I think one thing that we as a industry, and maybe even fans as well, when it comes to comics, I think sometimes we leave some money on the table in regards to not suggesting more often, like, hey, yeah, you want to buy a copy of the comic for yourself, but if you really love this comic, there's got to be someone in your life that you want to give it as a gift. There's got to be you. Maybe you can donate it to your library. Maybe you have a brother. Maybe you have a sister, a father. Who knows? There's always. I'm always surprised when I think of that myself. I think I live and breathe comics, but then I'll think like, oh, I should get this for so and so for their birthday, and it never occurred to me. I've loved this comic for years, but I'm not giving it out as a gift, and there's got to be someone in my life who might enjoy it. And so I think that even when it comes to donations and gift giving, I think there's some suggestion to be like, hey, if we love comics, let's try to share that love with others when it naturally presents an opportunity in our life.
Absolutely. The fact that it's got Fanbase's logo on there is certainly something which it talks to the quality of the project, and that talks also to the monies that has been raised. I mean, you've got 58 hours to go. Yes. You have gone through your target. Let's just bring up the page again, if anything, so I can show the how you've done. And I'm also going to put on the conversion for for the non-colonials in the audience. So we're talking a $6,000 goal, $10,337 so far. That's must be incredibly gratifying to know that there is a real audience for this book.
Very, very much so. We're incredibly lucky and have been, over the years. The support is incredibly touching. And honestly, for us, it's exciting because now there can be a discussion. As soon as we get Ripple Effects packed up into its backers, there's a discussion for Barbara and I to talk about, like, is there more down the road for us when it comes to crowdfunding? Sure. Is there a way that we can even design this and refine it more to make it a Fanbase Press experience? But just so gratified that people came out, are supporting this book, and we are at a point where, like, being able to donate some of these books right off the back to libraries is also going to be a fantastic opportunity. So can't say anything but thank you everyone out there for offering your support and backing. And definitely, if you are interested, check it out before the campaign's over. We are still making a push to 15,000 if possible to donate even more books. We're going to donating 30 more books across our country if we reach that result. But this is a great opportunity to be part of this and get this for your bookshelf. Put it on your own, and get a collection like this going.
Sure. I mean, with 58 hours to go, and you've got that well funded, is that something that actually can prove a little bit of a stepping stone for? I mean, this is your first campaign after all. It's very difficult to speak to this, but is it a case of oh well, it's funded now? It's not like I have to fund it because it's going to get made. I'll pick it up back later. But I think it's the fact that your tiers on here, they really are not. It's not just a poster, or it's not just a signed cover. It's passing the torch and taking the story further, which I think is what is being related to when it comes to how well it's been received. We have got a couple of comments in, especially with relating very much to the themes of the book. It's nice to see disabilities being highlighted in comic books, apart from The Spiral Cage by Al Williamson, Romp by Millen McCarthy, and Skin by Alan Polina. I can't think of many. And you just don't know. Oh wait, Daredevil. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Solicitor Smeg, donating to libraries is a great cause that also helps the industry. The more kids that find comics, the brighter for the future of the industry. Just out of curiosity, I can't see anything on the project. What is the age group that this is aimed at? Is it an all ages book?
I would say that this is more of a YA or above adult range. It doesn't have, there's nothing explicit necessarily in this. There's not any kind of rough language or extreme violence that I would be worried about it. But it's definitely written for a slightly older audience than I would say an all ages book. But anyone could seriously enjoy it. I think it really is going to appeal to anyone that has some experience or some understanding of the superhero genre. I mean, one thing that we have benefited a little bit, and what I found interesting, making an occasional superhero comic is how much the world and the pop culture understanding has changed with the explosion of the superhero genre, with things like the MCU, the DC cinematic universe. People are very much more willing to, play with some of the tropes and follow you down the rabbit hole than they were previously. And their understanding is differently. They immediately start putting together things like, the typical origin story and why this one is different. And so I think in some ways it primes the audience for stories like this, where it's like, we've seen so much of the superhero genre, exploring corners that we have not seen, seeing it in a different lens, taking it to a new place. That's exactly how we're going to keep that genre fresh and continue to explore it.
Absolutely. So we've got this book. It's going to blow past its, well, it has blown past its target. What do you see next for Ripple Effects? And what do you see next for Kickstarter for yourself with Fanbase?
Well, I'll answer the fan base.
Have you already started? Are you at this point absolutely laser focused on this campaign, or are you already thinking of?
Well, I'm doing both. I guess I am very focused on this campaign because we're so close to the end. I want to make sure that we give it a good push through the last few days. But I think Barbara and I are going to definitely start having discussions. I don't have anything concrete to say, but this has obviously been a success for us. I think we will have more projects, most likely on Kickstarter or crowdfunding in some sense. And I guess what I can say definitively about that is sort of what you were mentioning. For us, it's not going to be the approach of, hey, we're trying to, pay for this book that we can't pay for on our end. Sure. We've been publishing for a few years. What I think publishers like us and really enjoy about Kickstarter is that it functions as a really streamlined version of pre-ordering, and it allows us to give exclusive content or materials to those who support you first off, who do pre-order. So that's the attractiveness with it. When it comes to ripple effects, I really want to see what happens with.
I should be asking Jordan that. Should be asking Jordan that question, I suppose.
Well, yeah. He obviously is going to be the voice behind it and be the one who decides where those characters go. We've had some discussions. I want to see what the readers respond to with some of the new content in this book. But there's always the chance of more adventures. I mean, the characters that Jordan has created there is, again, one of the reasons that we really love Ripple Effects. There's a lot of rich characters that he's created. George Gibson's family is really interesting. The superhero group that he becomes part of has a lot of potential. And there's also a really interesting relationship between the lead superhero in that world and her brother, who sort of has a more aggressive approach to trying to change the world for the positive. There's a real Jordan always likes to say there's a real like Professor X Magneto thing going on there. And so there's always potential storylines down the road based on these character interactions and what we could throw at them. So we'll see what the future holds.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a little bit of a showcase just on the creative team. So Jordan Hart there on the screen at the moment, nominated for the Eisner, Harvey, and Excellence in Graphic Literature Awards, winning the Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics, and named as the Forward Indies Book of the Year award winning the graphic novels and comics category. We've got a couple of comments coming in, especially by somebody who I suspect already is a backer, because he's saying, Aaron, this is
yes.
Can't wait to read this deluxe cover hard version of Ripple Effects. So he's very much looking forward.
Thank you, Aaron.
Through the door. We've got a question here from Solicitor Smeg. Do you think writers and artists should create books that are all ages material? While it's a cartoon Avatar, anime, Avatar The Last Airbender shows there is a way to create something kids and adults can love. What's your thoughts on all ages and the potential for an audience there?
I think it's fantastic. Honestly, I find that some of my favorite things, as a fan myself, are all ages. Now, when I go with Star Wars is one of my biggest passions, and when I look at some of the things that Star Wars has been able to do that are clearly directed to the idea of hey, a kid can go in, an adult can go in, and they can both sit and watch this, and then they have something to talk about at the end. I mean, that's kind of part of the magic of storytelling and the magic of genre storytelling too, So I am not someone that thinks it has to all be like that. I like variety. I like that we can explore different stories for different age ranges. But I think especially with comics, with pop culture, it is important to remember that some of these properties, some of these franchises, they need to be directed towards that audience so that you can bring new blood in and they can start to, understand this and share these passions and values and interests with you.
Sure. I understand that you may actually have some supplemental material that you're able to show us on screen. Is that something you feel you can do now?
Let's go attempt this. I'm going to try to present this here.
Because just for everybody who's watching this while Bryant is clicking away, this is the StreamYard platform, and it does allow us to share screens, which is how I put my on-screen graphics on and how we were able to have a look at the Kickstarter page. However, if Bryant has a window open and he can share some pages, he basically does and hijacks the screen and does the same thing, which is why if he presses present, and let's see what he can find. Let's see.
All right. I think you should be. Are you seeing it on screen now?
Not yet. 1 second.
Oh, hold on. I got it.
We were saying before we came on air, it's always fun to do this on air when we should have done this before we came on, just as a test.
Oh boy. All right.
It's okay.
Let me try one more time. It was saying something about not allowing my screen to share. I'm going to try one more time.
What screen, what program are you using? Or what screen are you using?
I am using Firefox, I believe.
Okay. I think Firefox works with it. I mean, if we struggle, but if you send them to me, we'll put them up on the social media.
Okay.
And we'll give it a look. But one last try.
Yeah, I'm trying one last time to see if I can do it.
Okay.
It's saying it can't capture the screen. I apologize, everyone.
No worries. No, it's fine. It's, as anyone will tell you watching this, technical difficulties are inbuilt into Talkin Con. It's almost part of my brand, which is not something I'm particularly proud of, but that's just the way it seems to have worked out. No, what we'll do is if you get that shared to us, I know we've got, like I say, 52 days, 54 days left on the campaign. Yeah, let's get people having a look at that, and let's spread the word. Like I say, we're 58 hours. Sorry, 58 hours
not
to go.
Days. 58 hours.
Hours to go. Yes, we're definitely talking the final stretch on this one. Let's have a look at this Into the Blue Mister. There are titles out there that both age ranges love, but not a lot. I always recommend Bone by Jeff Smith. Yes,
that's a great one.
This is a good shout. Is that? Yeah. This is a book which I feel is not only just all ages, but it's an all-star lineup, and I think it's just a worthy addition to not only the Fanbase Press lineup, but also just comics out there to kind of really put a spotlight on invisible illnesses and disabilities. I think it's just a great idea and a fantastic cause. And congratulations on the campaign being such a success as it's been. One last time, let's have it on the screen and remind everybody what the URL is. If you want to head to kickstarter.com/project/fanbasepress/ and this is with the dashes, of course, Jordan Hart's Ripple Effects, the Deluxe Edition. Do go check that out and put your funds in. Another reason why I'm a big fan of this campaign as well is it's nicely affordable. It's just straight out the gate. It's just something that people can dive in. $15 for the digital copy. For the full digital superhero bundle of $30, moving up, and a hardback book for £35 is and with all the content and with all the bonus material that you've got in this, it's a hell of a thing to be able to afford. $35, about 27 quid. I think that's more than affordable. Listen, thank you so much indeed for coming on. Thanks for spreading the word about this, and congratulations on a successful campaign. Something I wanted to kind of like just really before you disappear, our paths crossed, or should I say I swung past the table at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
How was it? How was your San Diego this year?
Oh, it was great. I don't know if you had the same experience, but I feel like San Diego has sort of been rebuilding itself since the pandemic break, and this year felt like Comic-Con was back. It felt like Comic-Con was back on its feet, and I just had a great time. I feel like the more that I go, the more I get so grateful for running into people like yourself, the community aspect, that I get to see friends, colleagues that sometimes I only see once a year, but it's just a fantastic time. How was yours?
I think it's been documented already. It was slightly disappointing for me, but that's purely because I came at it the wrong way.
Okay.
Obviously, the classic line is you always get out what you put in.
Sure.
And this year I kind of went in a little bit too relaxed, purely with the idea that I'm just going to freewheel it. I'm going to spend it catching up with friends, catching up with people I haven't seen for a couple of years, and just kind of take it very steady. But it ended up me kind of like on occasion just twiddling my thumbs and thinking, I really feel like I should be doing at this point. I should be doing a panel. I should be interviewing somebody. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And I ended up being a little, so like a leaf in the wind, as it were. So I think next year, back to it, a bit more focus and actually wanting to get on and do something. So fully expect me to come around with a microphone and start interviewing you right there at the table this time round. And if anything, if we can attach a bell to Barbara this time, we might even try and keep her kind of sat down for 5 seconds. So
I know. If you can catch her between like your panels, 13 panels or whatever she's going for this year.
Absolutely whirling dervish, that woman. Absolutely incredible. And also with the family as well. It's just great to see what you do. It's just always inspiring. And once again, it's been great to have you on. Bryant, thank you so much indeed. Congratulations on the campaign. And here's to the final 58 hours, sir.
Thank you so much, Leonard. It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Excellent. Take care, and I'll see you the next time, yeah?
Sounds good.
Brilliant. So there you go. Bryant Dillon, thank you so much indeed for coming on. Once again, let's get that URL up on the screen. Do check it out, kickstarter.com/projects, Fanbase Press, Jordan Hart's Ripple Effects, the Deluxe Edition. It's already gotten its campaign, which means the books will be going out, but it's absolutely blown by, which means some really worthwhile rewards are going to be going out to people. Do check out that campaign and donate. And indeed, I know I'm saying donate like it's some kind of charity, and it's not. It's a worthwhile book. So it's just worthwhile checking out. So there you go. Okay, we have ourselves just a couple of things just to wrap up. I am going to talk about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival to finish, but the two features that I try and do here on the show are the Comic of the Week and the Social of the Week. Social of the Week is what we'll start with first, because I try to showcase social media accounts which have less than 3,000 followers, and I feel deserving of a little bit more of a spotlight on them. And for this week, it's somebody who is not only a staggering writer, but also somebody who is just puts out great content, because she's brilliant to follow. Erica Schultz. She will be appearing at New York Comic Con this time round. She's on table E27, right there in her threads title. The writer of such characters as Spawn, Wolverine, Daredevil, Black Widow, and Moon Knight. And not only that, but just absolutely is a fan of the community, fan of her own fans, just a real kind of like myself. She's somebody who just loves spreading the word. She's also just a great follow, to be honest. She's got a very strong will. She's got a strong sense of who she is and the message she wants to put out with her social media. And I, for one, feel that, she needs more people checking out her account. So if you fancy following somebody who's well worth the effort, do head to threads.net /Erica Schultz Writes and follow them today, because it's just a great account and it's a great follow. Just somebody who's just got some real skin in the game. Also, from what I've read as well and what I've heard, the Daredevil Woman Without Fear book that she's involved in is just very, very nice. It's very choice. Very good indeed. Check that out and follow threads.net. Erica Schultz writes. That is my social of the week. And I think we'll do my comic of the week. Now, I'm going to have to do this from the digital press copy that I've been sent, because I have been running around this week. I've been a little bit battered and bruised, getting myself ready for lakes, which means I haven't been able to read too much in the way of physical comics. I've yet to get to my pull list, which is killing me. I know it's going to be 3 figures. It's going to be a monster, but basically I've been kind of struggling. So I've been reading the digital copy that I have of the book that I've going to recommend, which I'm going to recommend it with a caveat. As anybody who follows me and follows what I do, you know that I am a huge Scotty Young fan. And I Hate Fairyland is a book which it's a follow-up, or it's a tie-in to the latest second volume of I Hate Fairyland, which Scotty Young's been involved. The reason why I say a caveat is because we're talking an artist now involved in this particular book, which is, like I say, the Happy Endgame. It's a 1 in 5 mini shop, and basically it's incredibly similar art to what Scotty did. I'm not saying that it's a homage or it's a copy, but it's just a little bit too close for my liking. I mean, we've got Jean-Francois Boulet doing the illustration and doing the cut. It's just I don't know. It just seems the way that it's been put together seems a little bit too much of a Scotty Young. It's someone doing a Scotty Young impression, and I'm not sure about that, especially with a character like this and a world like this. I Hate Fairyland really does give a real kind of platform for people and creators to just go out and do all sorts of wonderful things. I mean, I've got a book over here which was the many untold stories of I Hate Fairyland, which was many different creators having a go in the world and playing with the toys. This book, it just feels like, unfortunately, someone's just doing a Scotty Young impression, even down to some of the panel breaks. It just seems a bit weird, but it's still a great read, and that's the reason why I struggle to kind of really diss on it, because yeah, it's just a fantastic read. It's available from comic book shops from this week, so if you do get the chance, do head to your local comic book shop, and it's I Hate Fairyland, and it is just well worth checking out, which is the Happy Endgame, which also does imply that we are into the final stretch when it comes to this particular run. Whether we'll see even more Gert and more I Hate Fairyland down the line, who knows? Into the Blue Mister saying, my comic of the week is Turtles of Grayskull by Tim Seeley and Freddie Williams second. If you've read the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, then you know what you're getting. It's wonderfully fun. Ooh, I have the power to eat pizza. Well, I mean, Tim Seeley knows how to write. That's hardly surprising. Freddie Williams the second, I'm a huge fan of the art. I find on occasion it's a bit hit and miss, but that's just a personal preference. But Tim Seeley just hits the dartboard every single time, so I don't see that being a problem. A Masters of the Universe MOTU / TMNT crossover. Thank you very much indeed to Into the Blue Mister for recommending that. If you are heading to your comic book shops, there you go. You've got 2 recommendations. I Hate Fairyland, and you've got Turtles of Grayskull recommended by us as your comic of the week. Right. Last but not least, final stretch, a couple of minutes, talking about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival, which I attended from very early on Saturday morning after about 5 hours sleep, getting myself to Bowness in Windermere. Yes, the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. That cover there really does kind of sum it up. It's a very sedate, it's a very nice art festival. It's very much for the artists. There's nothing but comics, very much nothing but artists as well. I do remember when it was in Kendall, they did feature a number of writers. But if you are a writer that I saw at Lakes this time round, it's because you are a writer, artist, a creator. So it's very much more about the illustrators and the artists of comics, which is why you also had a showcase of international talent from Palestine. So they were being presented as with their own feature around the town, and I think that's still running, and I believe it's until the end of next month. But it's just an incredible roster of talent from the likes of Dave McKean, from Dagson from Iceland. You had Jorge Fornes, which absolutely killed me because I didn't quite twig that Jorge was there until I actually arrived and realized my entire run of the Tom King Rorschach book was still here. The temptation to drive home 2 hours and then drive back 2 hours to Windermere was incredibly strong. Kelly Lark, Kate Charlesworth, Kevin Raimondo, Mark Jackson, Michael Lark, who I was very lucky to be given some time with this morning to have a 35-minute, 40-minute conversation talking about his start in the industry, his take on superhero comics and just comics in general, and also about his work on Lazarus with Greg Rucka. A brilliant artist, a fantastic creator, and somebody who was a fantastic chat. Considering that, I wanted to talk about how coming to the Lakes, perhaps in this wonderful scenic environment, because it's a very pretty part of the world, is the Lakes International Comic Art Festival in Windermere. It's very nice. It's very pretty, very picturesque. What was it like for a visiting American to see this and possibly get himself behind an easel afterwards? At which point he then told me, well, I moved to Shrewsbury 6 months ago. So he's an expat. I didn't realize Michael Lark lives in the UK now. So that was an interesting conversation. Thanks for that. Also the likes of Sean Phillips, Simon Thorpe as well, Terry Moore, who I didn't see once. Bugger. Really, I was running around from pillar to post. Places I mostly stayed was in the laundromat, which was a theatre space down one of the main roads, which was more the fringe events. But the reason why I spent more time in there is because there were some panels that I wanted to watch, but also that was one that I was able to film and record. The other major panel room, which is the theatre in town. Basically, they were live streaming it. So if you head to Lakes International Comic Art Festival on Facebook, on YouTube, which you will do after this live stream, go and check it out, because they were live streaming most, if not all, of the panels from that room, from the old Laundry Theatre. So if you want to get a sense of what was happening on the stage at that point, go check them out. But yeah, I was a little bit peeved that I missed the likes of Terry Moore. Only really got the chance to see Dan Panosian right at the back end of his show and tell panel, because of the layout of the festival. You have down over by the jetty and down on the riverside, you have a couple of tennis courts, which they had converted with a tent for the comics marketplace. So that's where you had all your creators in there behind the tables showcasing what they had. Into Windermere, or into Bowness, sorry, you had the two featured stages. the laundromat and the old laundry theatre, and then further more out of town, which was a good 20-odd minute walk if you really put your foot down. You had the jetty as well, which was made much more for LICAF, a little LICAF, so for the kids. The last time I went, and I think it was the first year, this is a couple of years ago, first year that they did lakes at Bowness, I spent a lot of time at the jetty because it's a walk into town. It's something that I really didn't want to put my foot in, do that kind of walking at that point. But Greg Rucker was there, so it was a little bit too far out of the distance, unfortunately. And not only that, but this year I have the inflammation on my left leg, and then as I stepped outside of the car this morning, I also felt like I'd pulled my right calf. So I'm slightly broken, but that kind of gives you a sense of the breakdown of the actual locations as is. And you can see there, top of the page A, you have the jetty. That's showing it as a lot closer than it is in real life. This is certainly not to scale. It also doesn't demonstrate exactly how steep that hill is. It's a walk. But that's Windermere for you. It's what you kind of sign up for. The people I spoke to when it came to behind the tables, because Windermere is a bit isolated, it's the Lake District, so it's a little bit out of the way. The two types of people that were in Windermere this weekend were tourists for the area or people who were dedicated enough to go to the festival. So there wasn't a great deal of random passing trade. Oh, I wonder what this could be. I could be interested in this. Let me give it a go. People who traveled to Windermere for this festival were hardcore comics fans. So they're the people who know what they're talking about. As it happens, though, the people who they would know they know what they're talking about were people that were worth talking about. Let's see what I picked up, which I'm going to read that. It's rather cool. Cat Laird, Monster Ex-Girlfriends. I read the first sort of like 10 pages, which is an immortal heroine warrior, monster hunter, going into a cave and meeting Medusa and forming a bit of a romantic bond. Gonna have to have a look at that. So yeah, it was interesting. Like I say, Jorge Fornes, I kind of struggled because I didn't have my Rorschach books, but great guy to talk to. And that was another great thing about Lakes as well. The opportunity to actually talk to these creators and actually have time, because like I say, if you have a very select audience there and you have them in town, they are at the hotels and they're in the bars, it means that you have the opportunity to actually physically spend some time and talk to these people, which meant I managed to get my full run, or the full run that I own, of Nightwing, which is still one of the best ongoing series out there at the moment. A couple of highlights when it comes to, for example, a couple of covers, which Bruno has done. Helps if I go in the right direction. Just a couple of these are just like iconic covers. Yeah, the man knows how to draw, and his interiors are fantastic, and he's incredibly creative as well, including a couple of these books are. There's one of the books, which I think I would breeze past there, where the entire book is POV. You are looking through Dick Grayson's eyes. And then you also have, just an iconic cover, and it is just the kind of thing that Bruno really loves getting into. I managed to ask a question on his panel, which was along the lines of, at the end of the day, you're drawing not a creator-owned, you're not doing something which is tough to negotiate around. You are doing a monthly book. You have a deadline in mind. What happens when you then have to, or you then come up with these ideas? How does that really mess with your time? And whose idea was it? So was it in the script or was it you? And he usually turns around and said, well, it might have been suggested by Tom Taylor in a passing conversation, but at the end of the day, it's me that says, no, I want to give this a go. So, rod for his own back and all of that. Interesting guy. And not only that, but if I just do a little bit of juggling here as well, he did also sign my personal, and this is no hyperbole here, my personal favorite comic book cover ever. And as it happens, it's the book which Redondo started his run on Nightwing with. So it was the book that he started with out of the gate. It's the variant cover for issue number 79. And if you can see that, that is my personal favorite comic book cover of all time. It shows all of the iterations of Robin, of Nightwing, with Batgirl at the top supporting, because at the end of the day, it's the other half of Dick Grayson. And down here, holding the cape, you got Alfred. It really does. It comes up and it talks about the whole history of Batman. It speaks to not taking yourself too seriously, but also a real history. That is my favorite comic book cover. I love it. And not only that, but it was the first time that Raimondo also had a bit of a play with putting the logo on the side. So up there. Very happy about that. Got myself for that. But also another one as well that I managed to get signed. Maybe people may know this. Batman, Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious earth. Of course, Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. Dave McKean was signing today. This is the 25th anniversary edition book, which was given to me by the missus for Christmas one year, about 5-6 years ago. I took this copy and not my first edition hardback copy, bought when it came out at Forbidden Planet in Leeds, because right now it's probably sat next to my dog-eared, much loved and battered copy of Watchmen as my beloved books, which I have put somewhere safe and now can't find. So I had to take this one. Oh, what a shame. I had to take a bloody good copy of a bloody good book, and had a nice little Joker sketch put inside by the one and only Dave McKean. Just some amazing, and not only that, but I got the chance to talk to him. When you get the chance to actually spend some time with these creators, that's what a good convention allows you to do. Instead of just swinging by and doing a flyby, you actually get to interact and really spend some time, because you're in a rarefied crowd. And with this particular festival, that's exactly what it's achieved. We're talking Arts Council funded, so it's got a fair amount of wodge in the bank to kind of deal with and really kind of get some international talent over. It's developing a nice reputation with those people that have already been before. So they've got some people that you wouldn't expect coming to a UK convention. So while there are still some niggles in terms of layout, in terms of location, it's still a bit, I'm sorry to say it for locals, but it's still a bitch to get to Bowness-on Windermere. There's no easy way of getting to that location. And even if you go by train, it's then down a sodding hill to get to wherever you need to go to. It's a bugger of a location, but very pretty. I'd love to show you some pictures that I took, but I've yet to process them, get them all up and running, which I will do over the course of the next couple of days. So I am going to get them up and running and hopefully get them posted. I've got a great interview with Simon Burks and Lyndon White, who saved my life this time round, thanks to putting me up on Saturday. So I had somewhere to lay my head on Saturday night. Thank you so much indeed to Lyndon. If you have the opportunity to search for Lyndon White Candles, which is his graphic novel, again, that is one of those books where you will know if I ever win the national lottery. Number one, a lot of Kickstarter campaigns in comics will get funded. And number two, there will be a adaptation of Lyndon White's Candles farmed out to Amazon or Netflix or something. I'll be producing that. So there. You'll know that some serious money has ended up in my bank account if that ever gets announced, and you'll know where it's come from. Again, some nibbles. There's also some concerns with a couple of the personnel that were invited. That's something I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. I don't know what both sides of the story is. I'm going to get into that. Bear with me. But I didn't want to do it going into, because number one, I was too busy, and number two, I wasn't too sure of just how serious the story was. Bear with us on that. So that interview with Simon Burks of Blue Fox and Lyndon White, thank you, of Threads, of Candles, sorry. They have done a book called Antarctica, which was being published and is into its second volume. And it was great to have those two talking about what they got up to with that book and what they've got coming down the pipe for themselves. The Michael Lark interview as well, 40 minutes talking to the artist behind Lazarus. Going to get that up as well. Bunch of VR stuff and 360-degree videos from the Laundromat. So we've got the Show Don't Tell panel and also the Emma Vicelli session as well. Going to get that up and running. All of this I'm going to try and get online over the course of the next week or so. So bear with me. And that's me. Thank you very much indeed for watching today's show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed again to Bryant Dillon for joining us. Congratulations on his campaign. But yes, he's still got a couple of days just to get the some more pennies into the pot. So if you do want to contribute, do head to that Kickstarter and give it a go. And thanks to you guys for watching, for taking part, and of course, spreading the word and sharing about Talkin Con to as many as you would like to. Find yourself for social media, send a link out and spread the word, and hopefully we'll get some more people joining us for next week's Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Special guest has been nailed down, and we'll be announcing that in the next couple of days. Looking forward to sharing the word about that. From us to you, take care, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.